Hey guys, 6 weeks ago I asked you to fill out a online survey about your experience with the VA in regards to testosterone, and 534 of you did. Thank you very much. I know it was a lengthy survey and a lot of personal information, but we really appreciate it. So today I want to come back to you with what that data shows, because you deserve to know what your responses are saying, and what they're saying confirms something we already suspected, and we already knew that, but we needed the data. So there's a real gap between how hormone health is being delivered to veterans, and we have a chance to help close that gap. If you serve, this affects you. If you love someone who served, this affects them. So stay with me for the next 10 minutes. It's going to be a lot of data, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to show you the numbers, and I'm going to tell you what you're going to do with them and how it can help you. Out the gate, this is what we had. So 534 responses, 500 verified veterans across every branch. The average PHQ-9 depression score, and that's that test that you take that gives you 0 through 5 or 0 through 4. Basically, what's one of the questions? Do you have little or no interest in doing things? It's what the VA uses. So what we did was we wanted to use their test that they use for depression and anxiety, not against them, but kind of to showcase a point. So the average PHQ-9 depression score was a 16.1, moderately severe range. The average GAD-7 anxiety score was 13, moderate range. 77.9 scoring moderate or worse depression. 64% scoring severe depression. That's too many. 69.7% scoring moderate or worse anxiety. So let me put that in context. The general adult population in the United States run about 6 to 8% with moderate or severe depressions. The veterans who took our survey are clocking in at nearly 10 times the rate of the regular standard U.S. population. The population that serves this country carrying a mental health burden that is far above what the general public deals with. Let's continue on. Let's look at the VA pathway. So of the 500 verified veterans, 402 used the VA for healthcare. I'm one of them for some things. Of those 402, only 240 ever raised testosterone with their VA provider. That's 59.7%. Of those 240, and this is kind of crazy, of those 240 who did raise it, 32 out of 240, 32 were prescribed treatment. That's 13.3. Of the 240 who asked for it, 134 told their levels were normal. 99 said the conversation didn't lead anywhere, which if you're a veteran, if you tried this, you know that. 53 were directed to lifestyle changes only, and then 31 were completely declined to test. Take a second on that. 134 veterans walked into the VA exam room, asked about testosterone, and were told their levels were normal. And we know that, I've got tons of videos on YouTube about what that range means, and it means nothing. And if you are going off the range at a 31-year-old with a 2 or a 300 total testosterone number, you have the testosterone of an old man. But because you're in range, that's normal. So we don't know what those levels actually were, because most of them weren't given a copy of their labs. We know from a clinical practice that the number flagged as normal in a general lab range can still leave a man completely depressed, exhausted, managing symptoms, and with multiple other prescriptions, symptoms that resolve once the hormone is actually optimized. And that's what's really frustrating here, is because they're like, well, you're normal. And so if they don't have the education on that, then they just go, well, I'm normal. And so there must be, maybe I'm the problem, or there's some other problem that I can't figure out. So there's like this Rubik's Cube that they're trying to figure out, and they're frustrated. And unfortunately, I don't want to get down a negative rabbit hole, but this is where we start to lose veterans, because they're exhausted, they're managing symptoms, they're depressed, and they don't know what's wrong. So maybe they're just broken, and they're not broken. So this isn't a VA problem in the sense that anyone is doing this on purpose. Okay. I don't think this is malicious intent. The VA primary care system was not designed for the level of specialized hormone management this work requires. And don't kill me for standing up for the VA a little bit. Their doctors are spread thin. We know that because it takes forever for us to get an appointment. It's the reason why community care exists, even though that's not working very well either. So specialized hormone training is very rare. Lab references range are wide and antiquated, in my opinion. So what you're seeing in the data is not malice. It's a system that doesn't have the right tools for this specific need. All right. So let's keep that in mind. Why many didn't ask, right? So for the 162 VA users who never raised it as an issue, 78% said they don't know if they qualify. 67 said they haven't looked into it. 66 said the VA has not provided it. 63 cited cost of private care, valid. 38 had concerns about side effects, and 21 cited stigmas. So almost half didn't ask because of an information problem. They don't know if they qualify. They haven't been told. They don't know what to look for. All of this is fixable. A system designed for this would catch these men right at intake, right? And that starts with like a full 28-panel blood test that the VA doesn't do. So right now they're slipping through the cracks, not because anyone's neglecting them, but because the hormone screening isn't built into the standard pathway, which it absolutely should be. It should not just be the 5-panel hormone panel with the CBC metabolic panel. It should be a full 28-panel blood test where you're testing everything: SPHG, LH-FSH, free test, your T3. I mean, across the board, every single thing, right? I want to know what the whole story is. The heart of this video makes the case that when hormone optimization is delivered correctly, the outcomes are really dramatic, and that's exactly what community care could unlock for the VA, right? So we ran this survey alongside the veteran one. The first survey included 500 veterans, most of whom are not core patients. It was over 500. I took out the core patients. It was like 16 patients that did both. We took those out. The second survey was an active patient panel directly with core. So 299 verified veteran patients who reported their depression scores, anxiety scores, satisfaction, prescription drug reduction using the same clinical instruments, okay? And what I mean by that is if they went on TRT, did they have a significant prescription reduction on the other ancillary medications they were taking through the VA? We can put them side by side and see what the difference is between specialized treatment and what the VA is doing. Veterans never out of the TRT vets, 299, PHQ 9 and G87 was an 18. So PHQ 9 was an 18, G87 was a 14. Veterans previously on TRT, off now, 58, 20 PHQ 9, 16 G87. Veterans currently treated by the VA. I'd be very, pay attention right here. Veterans currently treated by the VA, right? These are veterans that are on TRT on some sort of protocol, not a correct protocol, but some sort of protocol through the VA. Their PHQ 9 was a 16.5 and their GAD was a 13.7. Veterans currently treated by Core Medical, 299 veterans with a PHQ 9 of 8. Okay? Depression score of 8 versus 16, 20, and 18. An 8. And an anxiety score of 7.3 versus 13, 16, and 14. That's massive. That is a massive change. So if we look at those four numbers, the veterans being treated by the VA are reporting depression scores in the same range as veterans receiving no treatment at all. That's not a knock on the VA. That's just data telling us that the current delivery model isn't optimized to produce the outcome that we want. And so if we look at the men who are on TRT and got pulled off, their scores are the highest in this entire data set. When treatment gets interrupted, these men regress, and they regress hard, and that's a continuity care problem that our partnership model can completely solve. And the reason for this is happening is the guys that I interact with is like, well, we need to test your blood again. And the only way to test your blood, which is not true, is for you to come off. And so they're just manipulating these veterans' hormones who already have issues. And it's just causing massive amounts of trauma in their body. And it's not the way that, like, we don't, like, you never should have required that just to come off cold turkey to do a blood test. And then they're like, well, it's been a month. Let's do a blood test, and then we'll do another month, and then do another blood test. And they just keep kicking the can down the road and not taking care of these guys. And again, that goes back to the training. It goes back to understanding how hormones work. So if we look at the core medical patient group of the PHQ-9 of 8.0, half the symptom load of the VA treated group. The GAD-7, the anxiety score of 7.3, same population, same service history, same instruments. The difference is the delivery model. All right, so now you're dealing with specialized clinicians, optimized lab targets, frequent follow-up, and what the VA doesn't give is the ancillary support and medications around the testosterone protocol itself. And here's the part that closes this case for me is when we asked core medical patients how long they had been with us. The new patients, less than 3 months in, were walking in at a PHQ-9, the depression score of a 16.3. And that's the same depression load of the VA treated group. After 3 to 6 months at core, their PHQ-9 dropped to a 7.3. And after 3 years, it's down to a 6.3. So if patients arrive in the same condition we see across the VA treated population, what changes the outcome is the specialized protocol. So 84.3% of our veteran patients reporting meaningful improvement across at least 6 of the 8 symptom domains. And I'll explain those in a second. 66.2 report improvement across all 8. 93% say they would recommend core medical to another veteran. Average satisfaction score out of 5 is a 4.58. The average patient has been able to reduce or eliminate other prescriptions, scoring 3.92 out of 5 on the prescription reduction. And out of those areas, we're talking about your sleep, we're talking about your sex, we're talking about your mood, your depression, your anxiety, your willingness to live. So all of those different domains is what came up with the 84.3% of our veterans report meaningful improvement across those 8 domains. The next thing that I'm going to share is, like, these aren't testimonials. This is the patient panel reporting under the same clinical instruments. And it tells us something important, that the protocols work. The veterans want it. The gap is in delivery. The gap is how can we help the VA close that gap? So a couple of things from the survey. We gave veterans the opportunity to, in their own words, share what this has been for them. And so I want to read a couple of these. First is the current VA patient. This is from a 47-year-old Marine veteran currently being treated through the VA. He wrote, "No, it took me 18 months to finally get approved for testosterone therapy after 10 years of low 160 to 225 blood work. At one point during the once-a-month injections, my T level was at a 95. Once-a-month injections, that's a horrible protocol. And he's currently running around 380 to 440. Real quick, I'm going to show you, like, testosterone recipient half-life is a 3 to 4 day half-life. That's the reason why you can start out at 1 shot a week. It should be a minimum 1 shot a week, and then eventually are broken down into 2 shots, so you kind of meets that, and that just keeps you level. And that's what I mean about, like, that's just the reason why the data shows it wasn't shocking to us that the data shows that the PHQ-9, the GHD-7 scores are still really high for the veterans that are on TRT protocol with the VA. So the next one, 18 months to get approved, 18 months, 10 years of low readings. A Marine, this is not the VA being indifferent. This is a system that is not equipped to move faster on the specific need. So again, I multiplied this story by 99 conversations that went nowhere. Out of that, the 134 were told that they were normal. These men who need specialized care pathway, and they're not going through a generalist to get one. Now, here's a core patient, 41-year-old Army veteran, 6 to 12 months on therapy. He wrote, "Before TRT, I felt almost like a zombie." How do I remember that? "Just going through the paces to keep my family going. Now I have clarity when making a decision. I have the motivation to grow, and my processing seems 10 times better." Same thing happened to me. It was like the fog lifted and I could see clearly the direction I want to take my life, and I just fucking ran as hard as I could that direction. I feel like I could run through a brick wall. Same population, again, same population, same service, same starting point, just a different delivery model, different outcome. All right. So here's the size of the opportunity here. So 444 out of the 534 respondents, 83% said they would pursue VA provided TRT if it were accessible, but they didn't. 245 of those people opted in to be contacted for a follow-up, which our people are on. So the demand here is 83% of the veterans who were surveyed are actively asking for this care. 83% of the veterans that are like, they're asking for it to be taken care of. And that's a number the VA can act on. Like, it's also a number Core Medical can help them serve. So through the community care framework that already exists for this exact specialized need. And they use it for all other reasons, just not this one. Here's the, this is what we're trying to do. So this data isn't going to sit on a shelf. Like, we're formalizing this all into a white paper. It will be delivered to the VA director office along with the community care provider designation request from the Core Medical. Our team is already working on this. They've been at DC. They've already had their first meeting. Things are looking very well. So the ask is really simple. It's recognize hormone optimization as a covered specialty service through community care so that veterans who need access to it without paying out of pocket. The VA already uses community care for orthopedics, for cardiology. They even use it a lot of times for endocrinologists. So it's right there. And a lot of other specialized, care that primary care isn't built to handle. So it's the same exact model. So we're not asking the VA to change what they do. We're asking the VA to let us help. So there were 444 veterans in this survey alone who said, it rose their hand and said yes. Multiply that across millions of veterans in the system, and you have a problem with the VA that they cannot solve. So community care is the bridge, and that's the offer that's on the table. So to ask, if you have not filled out this survey, please do so now. It doesn't take that long, and the more data we have, the more concrete that this happens. So that link is in the description. And like I said, the more we have, the stronger this case becomes when we walk in. And as we continue to have these conversations, we'll continue to collect this data and provide that to them. At the end of the day, this stuff is costing people's lives, and it's costing veterans' lives. And so at the end of the day, like, somebody might not even know, they don't have the information in front of them. And so they get told no, and they go, oh, okay, that's something else. And that's what really sucks, is I feel like you're not armed with all the information. So at the end of the day, you just kind of go, it must be just me. I'm just broken. I'm a broken veteran. And it's just not the case, man. It's just too many. I mean, I've had multiple videos on this channel about why it happened, TBIs, multiple concussions, stress, cortisol, over a long period of time. So if you know somebody who, like me, who, like a friend told me, like, hey, have you ever had a blood test? I don't think you have these other issues. I think you have a hormone deficiency. And I was like, what? Be that guy, because that guy saved my life, because I did do a blood test and I realized that at 91, at 31 years old, and that's horrible. So nonetheless, send them this video, send them the survey. The veterans who serve this country absolutely deserve the proper care they can get. And if it's hormone care they need, they deserve a proper protocol that will serve them as well. And we have the data, we have the patient panel, we have the protocol to help the VA deliver it. So hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss this. And then we'll see you guys in the next video. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate that. Remember to like it. Remember to drop me a comment. I want to respond to it. I'm actually the one responding to the comments. And if you like this video, you're going to absolutely love this one right here.